Good afternoon, collectors. We are live from Eden Prairie, Minnesota, and we are not quite buried in snow yet, but we're getting close. I was really excited to do this one, and as you can see here, I have a whole stack of village hacks or village tips that I got from collectors, and everyone that I use today will receive a free gift from Department 56. They probably won't go out until next week, but it's something that you can use in everyone's village. So I was real excited to get these special gifts for you. And once we start seeing these, I want you to vote. And one person of all these over 20 hacks that I have here, and I got well more than that, I want you to vote for your favorite, and the person who gets the most votes for their favorite and maybe the most unusual or the, gosh, why didn't I think of that kind of hack, is going to get a special signed piece. I'll have one of the artists here sign a piece, and they'll get that in addition to the free animated accessory that they're going to get as a gift. So let's get started. And if you are watching and I use one of your tips or hacks, give me a high sign, or let me know that you're following along. The first one I have here is from a friend of mine out in New York. His dad happens to be the treasurer of the NCC, Scott McKevick, and his son Nicholas, who I think now is maybe 12 or 13 years old, and Nicholas is just an avid fan. And Nicholas has some really cool ideas. He said, you've probably received something similar to this already, which I hadn't, but Nicholas wanted to submit some of the following tips he uses all the time. And a lot of you ask about this. He loves to customize his village, and it's very simple once you try it. And he included some pictures. Pick an image, a photo, or just words and adjust them to fit in your village where you would like them. And it personalizes your village. It may take several tips or tries to get it right. And he says, okay, maybe sometimes 8, 9, or 10 tries, but the image will work, and then cut them with a utility knife or scissors. And this is another good tip he suggests. Use an Elmer's glue stick to put it in place. Yep, the same kind you use in every kindergarten classroom. That's what's great about Elmer's. It won't cause any damage when you decide to remove it later with a little soap and water. So I thought that was a great tip. And now I'm going to see if this is going to work. And we're going to show you Nicholas's tip. Here is an accessory. Where's the power button? There. Does that make it look a little brighter? Okay. Using a light board here to make these pictures a little. Okay, so this is a picture of a billboard, a man putting a billboard up. And look at what Nicholas has done to make it personal for his village. It's right here. And there, as you can see, instead of that blank space, Nicholas has added a picture of himself. Isn't that cute? And this is part of a display that Nicholas has done that is for the fire. Looks like he's got a fire station here, so I wanted to show this too. Here's what he personalized, and you can see there's a fire station and the fire brigade and all the firemen. A really cute way to personalize it. If you've got someone in your family who happens to be a firefighter, great way to give a little nod to that person in your family. Okay, let's try another one here. I thought that was a really great idea. So Nicholas, there will be something special coming out for you. Here's a suggestion from a friend of ours, Christy Broadway in Texas. And Christy said, if you don't have a large area for display, create vignettes, which I know a lot of you do. And she sent in a picture of a vignette that I thought was really quite charming, and I wanted to share that with you. And it is a picture of her Dickens village using old vintage Dickens books as risers, and you can see those right here in the pictures. And then she just placed some accessories and the pieces in the display, and I think it looks just great. So that's Christy's tip, and Christy, you will also be receiving one of our special accessories. This one does not have any pictures, and some of them won't have pictures. This came from Linda and David Spears in Duluth, Minnesota, up where there is lots of snow. And they suggested a couple of different things, and the one I wanted to read was, they said, we used felt-tip, water-based colored pens to cover the white on the bases of some of the people and accessories. And we've done this when we use people with white bases on dark surfaces. That would be like using them on the brick roads or the sidewalks, slate stone path, brick path, cobblestone street, things like that. The color washes off with soap and water. I've never tried this. Apparently David and Linda have, so I'm going to trust that however they did it, it worked out fine. We normally use this idea only on smaller vignettes or when something is very obvious and distracting in a display. So I thought that was another good idea. And a lot of you have mentioned over the years that you like to hide what the bases look like. This happened to have been the very first one I got. This is from Allie Muir, and Allie is in Madisonville, Tennessee. And I'll put the picture up and then read what Allie sent. And it's a great picture of her display. And I've never heard from Allie before. Do I have to go back a little further?
No, I want to get closer.
You want to get closer. Okay, so he's going to, there we go. That's better. She writes, hey team, I love watching all the videos. Thank you for posting them. My village has grown exponentially since my grandmother and great aunt have passed down their pieces, and I can't get enough. My hack isn't so much a hack as it is a process. I like to open all my pieces, lay them on a table before I put them in the display. That way I can really see what I have and put them in their place as I go. Can't wait to see what comes out next year. Allie, thank you. And isn't this a great display? She has 2 of these trees for displaying her villages on. And where she has this displayed looks really, really great. Nice job, Allie. Okay. The next one, it comes from Jane Sprando in Oregon. It doesn't have a picture. Sorry. Half a head doesn't look so hot. She said, when I stack 2 or 3 layers of styrofoam, I use bamboo skewers. They are sturdy enough to hold the layers together, and they are cheap and sometimes come in different lengths. Wire cutters easily snip off any excess. Then I just pull them out when I take my display down and store them with the styrofoam. And that also eliminates the need to buy new styrofoam every year when you can take it apart without any damage to it from the skewers. It's a great idea. No glue, no tape, no mess, and no damaged styrofoam, Jane says. So thanks, Jane. This comes from Arlene Palm, and I can't quite remember where she's from, but I know you, Arlene. She said, makes it so easy to set up your village when the styrofoam pieces are pre-cut and sized. Also, if you know in advance where you're setting up your village. I generally use the same location each year, but change the placement of the buildings and accessories. So exciting and so much fun. Been setting up a village for 35 years, and it never seems to get old. Okay, here is one from our friend Frank Mapes down in Scottsdale, Arizona. And Frank has just a real easy, and I don't think we have to move anything. This one looks just fine like this. Frank found these gift tags. He said in actuality they're about 3.5 inches across. You can overlap them a little bit to cover the hole in them to create easy and cheap roads in your North Pole displays. When he said cheap, he really meant cheap. They're $24 for $1. And you can see the little hole because they're really a gift tag, but they'll make a great walkway. I also thought if you cut them in half, you could use them and make a little fence with it as well. So there's my hack on that. Great idea, Frank. And I think I saw these at Target. So that's another great hack. We'll have a animated prize coming out to you as well. This is from someone that I've heard from more recently than I have in the past, and his name is Grant Merrill, and Grant lives in South Bend, Indiana. And here's the picture that he sent. Way to go, Grant. He said, this is only my third year collecting Department 56, but I learned so quickly that one of the greatest and most frustrating parts of a village are those little details, like lampposts. And sometimes those details just don't want to stand up. I hot glue thumbtacks to the bottom of my lamppost, and then they push right into the foam base. No falling over, and invisible once they are standing up. So great little tip on that one. Sounds pretty logical when you think about it, but if you didn't think of it, it's a pretty good tip. Thanks, Grant. Okay, next one here. Oh, this is from someone I know quite well. This is from Ethel Campbell in Missouri. And Ethel loves to do vignettes, and she sent a couple of really nice pictures. So I want to share a couple of those with you. This, she said, my favorite thing is to watch for things that will enhance my village when I visit thrift stores, flea markets, junk stores, old barn, and grandma's attic. These additions make the village my own, kind of one-of-a-kind creations. Things I can find to be used as background, bases, and support structures to give added appeal to the viewer. Attached are some examples. This is an old chair in the picture, and you can see she's got a really old Snow Village piece there. Another one that she sent along. I hope you can see these well enough. She sent along this one. She found this drawbridge, and the drawbridge is uses as a moat going over to the castle, which I think is quite effective. And then there's this one, which is, I think I'll flip this way to show it. It's a landscape kind of picture. She used a piece of fencing as her backdrop for her, and I think I just turned my light board off. That's because it's where it's located. There we go. But she used a piece of fencing in the background, and I think it's very effective and looks really great with this display. So thanks to Ethel, and you'll be getting a nice prize coming out to you. Okay, my friend from Chicago, Anna McPherson. Hi, Anna. She sent along several ideas, and no pictures, so I'm just going to tell you what she sent along, and some really good ideas. This is kind of interesting. She said, to make my village look less like a row of soldiers standing at attention, I place my buildings in groups at different angles, some even facing backwards, because you know we design pieces all the way around, so sometimes there might be something interesting on the back of a piece that you like. So if I imagine a street, I have one row of places facing forward towards the road. Across the road, the houses face towards the same row. These are usually the ones that I place backwards. And then immediately behind these, I set up another group facing the opposite direction. I usually group 3 to 5 buildings in a block like this. I rarely have these set up parallel to the table edge, but rather coming at a slight curve or an angle. It creates a more natural landscape and is a great way to use duplicates. It also creates interest as viewers tend to seek out the nooks and cranny and check out what's going on. So I thought that was interesting. And she's got like 3 or 4 other ones here, but this one I thought was A, clever, and B, a good use of found objects. One of the easiest ways I've found to make realistic frozen ponds is to use a gray plastic shopping bag. I had a small stash of Michaels bags, but I believe Walmart still uses gray bags too. To use, I cut the side of the bag with the logo off, bring that back to the store, and put it in the recycling bin. She says that right here. And also the handles, because you won't need them. For the actual pond, she crumbles the remaining bit of the bag to get some nice creases on the plastic. Open up the crumbled ball, lay it on newspaper or your crafting table. Pour a generous, but not too generous, amount of Elmer's glue or other white glue, and use a craft brush, I think she's talking about one of those foam brushes, to paint it all over the surface of the bag about the size of the pond. You don't need to worry about the shape of the pond yet. The brushed out glue should be a very thin layer. If your glue is too thick to spread without getting sloppy, you can water it down with a little water from the tap. Then take fine white glitter, and she even gives us a tip here. Michael sells one called Snow in their card making and embossing section, and sprinkle it liberally over the glue, making sure the entire glue section is covered. Let the pond dry, shake off any excess glitter, and then you can cut it to fit where you want it to go. And I thought, what a good use of those plastic bags that we all have so many at home. So that's a great idea, Anna. Thanks. This is from Jim and Martha Draper down in Arizona. And this is one of those tips to use when you're trying to wrestle in all of your cords and battery packs. And this is what Jim says. When setting up tables for my villages, I make sure that the transformers or the adapters and the battery packs are labeled with the corresponding house or accessory. Yes, there's a cord between the house and the adapter, but when you're underneath there, you need to know which one goes with which. So he used just a Sharpie pen and marks right on there. I also use, and this is his tip, I also use pre-glued Velcro hook strips on the battery packs and under the table. This makes attachment quick and easy, not only for setup, but also easier to find a problem battery pack for repair. The same goes for takedown after the season is over. I leave the Velcro in place on the table and the battery packs to use all over again. Great idea. Gotta love Velcro. What did we do before we had it? This idea comes from Peter Trapp from the Cardinal 56ers. And he said, I don't have space to set up my Dickens village so I can have it all in one place. That's true for many of us. Instead, I use bookshelves, the top of china cabinets, a baker's rack, and the top of the kitchen cupboards to create individual scenes. And here's his tip. One thing that makes life easier to create seaport scenes high enough that I don't actually have to make water, because that's kind of hard. Instead, the illusion of water can be created simply through the proper placement of ships, buildings, wall, and other scenery. So he's just using a separation, and that separation creates the illusion of water. Great idea, Peter. Thank you. Okay, this one comes from our friend out in Connecticut, Randy Miller. And Randy has some interesting ideas. One is, he said, you know, when you open up a container of Coffee Mate, you have to take the cover off, and then inside is like a plastic, almost like a pop top. It's a plastic circle about this big, and then there's a ring on top. And he's got a use for those items. He said, you can take those plastic pieces, now these are his words, not mine, that look like toilet seats and rings, and then use them in your display as a hole in the ice for fish to come up through. Or you can use the plastic part that looks like a saucer, and if you're really talented, paint them as dishes for your display, which I think is a cute idea. His other idea is, and I had to stop and think about this one. He said, if you're trying to hide a lot of battery packs, he said, and some of the older ones where the battery pack is permanently attached to the accessory and you can't just disconnect it, what he has done is he's taken a battery pack, and here's the picture of it. Let's put it this way. And he's cut it down. So he still has the attachment part of the battery pack, but he has eliminated a lot of the plastic. So this is easier to hide, and then he still can connect the adapter so he doesn't have to use batteries into this portion. I've never seen this done. I've never tried it myself, but Randy always has a great big display, and I thought it was an interesting and space-saving way to wrangle in some of those battery packs. So thanks, Randy. Good to hear from you. This is an idea from a friend of mine in Arizona. Her name is Linda Wyndham. And Linda has an idea to make just setting up your display a little bit easier. Here's the picture she sent. Ooh. I don't know how to do that, but we have a phone. We have somebody who's calling me. Just hang it up. So here is Linda's picture, and what she says is, I take scraps of foam and hot glue groups of trees to them. I use my hot wire and carve the edges just a little, and I have a bin full of these. So what she's talking about is she has a bin full of these little display pieces with trees and snow, and she has them right at hand. And if she has a whole bin full of them, when she's setting up her display, rather than trying to figure out where she's going to put individual trees, she can just put these right in her display, and it saves a lot of time when she's doing landscape. And she says she just covers the edges with snow to make them blend in better. And then I think she also said here that that's how she stores them, and she doesn't even have to take them apart. That's a great idea. Sorry about the phone. This is my vote for a wonderful use of a found item. It's a great hack. It's from Blaine Newcomb. Blaine is from the Department 56 Housing Authority Club. And I've got two pictures here I want to show you. He said, my tip is to make icicles out of paper. I used the paper liner from a cookie package. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm trying to. Okay, so this is that corrugated paper that you'll see especially when you get boxes of cookies that have like different kinds of cookies in there. He takes this paper, and instead of carving it out of styrofoam, he just cuts it. He just cuts it, and there he has his icicles, and this is what it looks like when he gets it in his display. And I think it looks great. You can see back here, he's got icicles in his display. Isn't that a neat idea? I never would have thought of that. We throw that paper out with the packaging anyway, and Blaine has made a wonderful use of something so simple, but yet so effective for your display. So I thought that one was really great, Blaine. Good job. Katrina Cunningham sent in a little tip. This one doesn't have a picture with it. It says, use a yellow colored mini light string of 100. Run the lights behind each house, putting 2 or 3 lights inside each house to light them up. Then cover the wires with bushes and snow. Put a string of evergreen garland behind buildings to provide greenery between and behind the houses. This lights houses with one plug. And she ends it with easy peasy. So I thought that was great. All right, I've got this one from somebody named S. Stein. I'm sorry if I don't have a full name for you, but Miss or Mr. Stein sent us this idea. They said, many villagers already use floral picks and sprays to enhance their village. And he or she sent a really nice picture of the finished product in his or her display. And said, this is what was interesting though. She said, go to the craft store and buy some decorative branches that usually come from like real trees and things like that, like the manzanitas, and you can buy in the natural section of the craft stores. Then he brings them home, select and purchase a bunch that is very branchy, and then head home, grab a pruning tool, and lay them out on the floor so you can get a better look at them. So I guess if you have to be a little further away to see what you're working with, and then you can snip them so that you can end up with some trees that will work and look good in your village, and that really looks nice there. Okay, this is from our friend Red. Red is down in Arizona, and Red had a great idea, and I think this one we need to show this way. Red has an idea for a lit pond. Here, maybe I'll just hold it like that. There we go. What he does is carve a hole in the foam and place a piece of glass from a picture frame over the top of it and add a string of fairy lights underneath, and that lights up his pond. And I think it's very effective. And then he also mentions that he likes to paint the white bases of figures. So I guess that's something we're going to have to talk to Rick Jackson about and see if we can't do more pieces that don't have the white snowy bases. Because it sounds like a lot of you want that to be a little more natural looking. This one is an interesting one. This is I have just one or two more, and this is from this came from Sacramento from someone named Kathleen Cleveland, and I have never heard of this before, and so I don't know if it works. But she said if you mix white glue together with white shaving cream, 50-50 of each, and paint it on with a small spatula or sponge brush. It takes a few hours to set up and a few days to totally set and dry. It is not only a beautiful finish to your display, but due to the shaving cream, it smells really good too. I've not tried that, but it sounds like an interesting concept. And the last one I have here is from Linda D. Tomaso, and she said she just goes to Michael's and she buys round styrofoam already cut. Sometimes she cuts some of them in half and places them on top of each other, and sometimes does a little rounding on the edges to make stairs. And she said then you can stack them up and use them again next year. And another good idea to make things fast and easy. And at this time of year when there's so much to do, that's a really good thing. My last one is not a hack, but it was an email that I received probably in the midst of getting all these wonderful ideas. And it's from a woman who just wanted to say a big thank you. She said, "To whom it may concern," and I think this is all of us. "First, I want to tell you how much setting up Department 56 villages mean to me and my family. Last year, my husband was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and at the same time, I was in the hospital with several medical issues. At any rate, when I came home from the hospital, the first thing the kids said was, 'Mom, no excuses, we'll do the chores for you because we have to set up the villages.' Even though my husband and I are a bit tired, I could not break our 20-year tradition. Somehow we're pulling through as a family and are making it happen. In fact, all 3 of my kids use the setting up of our villages as a nice, pleasant, therapeutic distraction. It truly brings us so much joy, and our tradition of setting up the houses gives us the air of ineffable sweetness and peace." And with that, we'll close for today. We look forward to one more session before the end of the year, and that will be, let's see, today is the 5th, so 2 weeks from now will be the 19th, right before Christmas. I hope by then most of you have your villages set up. Until then, bye-bye.